How does one get 5 kids out of the door every morning without yelling, screaming, bribing, or hurting our relationship? That's what I want to share with you today. A random miscellaneous mix of tips and tricks and mindsets, which are always the most important part. So if this is the type of thing that's going to help you love parenting and parent from love on your high fam journey, then stick around. And I would love to hear your key takeaway and your morning tips and tricks below. Hi, I'm Avital. I'm the founder of Hi Fam. I am the author of Reclaim Play, and I am a coach who is here to help you to love parenting and to build a strong family culture. Well, one of the ways we build a strong family culture is each and every morning, setting up the day with a great energy, setting up our family members for success, and making sure that we have good energy in the home, even when there's a bit of a rush and a scramble. And I know that this is easier said than done. Now, I'm not going to pretend everything is perfect in my home. It isn't, and it never is. And there are certainly many mornings where you will find me getting a little crabby, yelling a little bit, in the mad rush, and getting swept up with the anxious morning hustle. But I want to share with you the things that I do that actually help that to become a rarity and something that doesn't happen as much. Now, my kids have a wide range of ages, and what you'll find in what I'm about to share with you is tips that work for really any age and that adapt and grow with your child. The first thing is laying the groundwork. And what I mean here is that we actually invest upfront in teaching our kids the skills that they need in order to be independent. Yeah, independence is a big part of my parenting philosophy. I believe that children should do for themselves everything that they can, right? Not always, not all the time. Sometimes we just want to spoil them. But generally speaking, I believe in empowering them and in giving them skills. Now, the thing is that skill development can take quite some time and effort, and that's not the type of thing that you can do when you're in a rush. So you can't do it in the morning necessarily, but there are things that you can teach them step by step in the afternoon, on holiday, on Sundays, whenever you have time, that makes your morning much, much easier. For example, if getting stuck putting their shoes on is a challenge for your kids and it's making everybody stressed and you just don't have time to sit there and tie shoelaces, take some time in the afternoon to teach them to tie their shoelaces. If one kid absolutely must have scrambled egg every morning and you have a lot of things to do, teach them in the afternoon or evening how to make scrambled eggs and have them get up and make that for themselves. Teach them how to prepare their backpacks, how to zip their coats, how to brush their own teeth. Any skill that you can transfer to them and teach them is going to make the morning easier because it's less for you to do and more that they are empowered to do for themselves. And that makes everything much easier. But we always remember to do those things when it's too late, when we're in the madness of the morning. So this is something I want you to do right now. Just think for yourself, wait, what are those sticky moments in the morning that we always get stuck on that, some kind of skill that my child could learn to do for themselves, but it takes time to teach them. And when am I going to teach this to them over the weekend when we're more relaxed so that our mornings look better? Listen, I want you to invest in future you. I want tomorrow's you and tomorrow's your child to have a better time of it, to not keep repeating the same arguments and the same frustrations every single morning. So invest a little bit up front. It does take some deliberate action, but that is something that is well within reach. Here's a really simple one that makes a big difference to me, which is teaching my kids to make sandwiches for the day. If you're packing sandwiches to go on an outing or to go to school or whatever it is, teach your child how to make it. How to get the bread out, how to butter it or put peanut butter on or make a tuna salad or whatever it is you're making at home. Teach them the steps so that you have helpers. Children as young as maybe 5, but certainly 6, 7 can start to do that for themselves. And the more they do for themselves, the less you have to do for them, the less stress and screaming and threatening and yelling there is in the morning. The next little hack is something I call strewing for flow. Listen, if you've grabbed my book, Reclaim Play, or taken the course, Reclaim Play, then you'll have learned about this concept called strewing, which is where you leave out usually play prompts, right? Invitations to play. You basically put a tray that is set up with things and it kind of lures the child in. It's seductive and intriguing and they want to play. And it's your way of leaving something out. You're not telling them go play. You're just making it irresistible for them to do so. And that's what strewing is about. When we strew for flow, this is a tool that I teach inside of the studio. I've taught it for many years. It's this idea that you actually put objects out in a way that's going to help you to manage your time better and to do the things you're supposed to do. So one of the most obvious examples is if you want to work out in the morning, as I do, I put out my workout clothes the night before. And it reminds me not to get dressed in regular clothes, to get dressed in workout clothes first thing, so that I'm sure that this is something that's going to be part of my morning. That's strewing for flow. I don't have to scramble around in the morning, and just that little bit of resistance, just that little bit of friction of not finding my workout clothes first thing in the morning might lead me to give up on that good habit altogether. Just, I can't find, okay, now I'm dressed, now I don't feel like changing, and it just can really sabotage me. But if I've strewed out what I need, then I'm more likely to do the good habit. Now, the same is true for your kids. You want them to brush their hair in the morning, brush their teeth. You want them to make their bed in the morning. You want them to get their water bottles for school. What is it that you need them to do? Strew those things out for them. Leave it there, ready for them. The visual reminder is the reminder, and that helps you not have to say so much. So one of the things you're going to notice throughout this video is I really look for ways that my home environment, that technology, that other things can be the parent for me, can co-parent with me. Inside of the studio, we talk a lot about high-vibing our home and making our home a co-parent, right? And in Reclaim Play, I in fact teach how to make your home an invitation for independence and for good behavior and great habits. Strewing is one of those ways that we use the items in our home to remind our children. Let the toothbrush ping your child rather than you having to ping them all the time. Now, is this hermetic and sealed and, foolproof? No, it's not going to work every time. But when there's a good habit of brushing teeth, all it takes is to put that toothbrush there and the reminder is set and you can save yourself the hassle. The next one is a little trick I want to teach you that I learned from my uncle, who told me that the reason that people are late in the morning is because we have a really skewed understanding of how long something takes. We're not very good at guesstimating our time. So let me ask you, how long does it take you to get ready in the morning, to get dressed, to get yourself ready, to get your bag together, to have your breakfast or your coffee? How long does it take you to be ready to leave, ready to start the day? Do you even know? How long does it take you to get your child ready or your children? And what if you had to add into that some things around the house, like unloading the dishwasher or folding some laundry? How long do these things actually take? Now, the truth is that many of us don't really know, and we tend to underestimate how long things take. I'll give you a great example from my own life is I once did the drive from home to school and it took 10 minutes. And I anchored that number into my brain. I was like, it's a 10-minute drive. But the truth is, I happened to go on a day where there was no traffic and I happened to have a run of green lights. The truth is that the drive takes at least 15 minutes on average. And I noticed that we started being 5 minutes late every day. And I just couldn't quite get it. Why am I always 5 minutes late? And then I realized that I had anchored in my brain the bracket of time that I need to leave as just 10 minutes, but that was actually completely inaccurate. And that accounted for that margin of error of the 5 minutes that we were always late. You need to know how long things actually take. Like if you're going to have a shower in the morning, are you a 5-minute shower person or are you actually 11 minutes in the shower? How long does it take you to actually make the sandwiches? You think it's 2 minutes, but really it's 12. These are the types of things that actually accumulate and create that sense of stress. And this is the type of skill we want to give our children too. Accurately assessing how long things take and allocating the correct amount of time for those tasks is something that really helps us to mature and be responsible and manage our time well. And it's something I'm still trying to master. So I want you to actually write down for yourself a number. How long do you need from the time that you wake up and get out of bed all the way through the time that you are ready to be out of the door with your children in the morning? It could be that you think it's 45 minutes, but in actual fact, it's an hour and a half. And you're going to have to work backwards to make bedtime earlier, etc., so that you're ready earlier in the morning and you can minimize some of that unnecessary stress. The next thing I want to give you is the most incredible parenting tool from the book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk from Faber and Maslisch. And this book is such a great classic for a reason. It's one of the best parenting books I've ever read. And one of the best skills that they offer there, and it's also based on Chaim Ginot's work, is the skill of saying things with one word. Listen, in the morning, you might find yourself yelling out orders, barking things into the other room, saying things again and again and again. Like, I have a very sweet 5-year-old who's a little bit dreamy, let's call it. And sometimes I'll tell him, sweetie, go and put on your shoes. And he'll just kind of look at me with a blank stare, and he's in his own world and he's thinking about other things. And I have to say it again and again and again, and I don't always get a result. But if I use this incredible tool of just saying it with one word, I get a much better result. So how does this work? Well, you come up pretty close to your child, you make sure you have eye contact. Maybe you take their face in your hand and you just say what it is you need them to do. So for example, shoes. Saying it just really clearly with no fluff, with no filler, is a way of really breaking through the distractions, and the child gets it. Shoes. I need to put my shoes on. And off they go to put them on. You can add in a little bit of a physical, encouragement, like this is the direction of the shoes. Here, shoes. And you move them forward. Now, if you combine that with the tool of strewing for flow and with the tool that I already told you about, which is laying the groundwork, then you've taught your child how to put their shoes on. You've left the shoes out with the socks that they can now wear. And you've said just one word, shoes, and you've directed them there. And they will go and put on their shoes, hopefully. So this could work with many different things. Teeth, hair, breakfast, homework, door, lights, right? All these different things that your child knows what you're talking about. They don't need a long lecture, but they need a really clear reminder that's going to cut through the noise and help ping their brain so that they actually take action. Bonus on this one is that I personally just don't like talking so much. I know that might be a little unbelievable given what I do for a living, but really when I'm with my kids, I just find myself explaining and answering and barking orders, and I just would like a bit of quiet. So saying it with one word, best. And finally, I want to share a mindset hack, which relates to my previous video. If you haven't watched that, make sure to watch this after this one, which is all about the mindset that we need in order to start our day well as parents. And that mindset is all about bringing a great energy to the day. So make sure to watch that video. But I want to talk about here is that I have this intention. I have this intention for my mornings. They might be a bit frazzled or a bit hustled. There might be a lot to do. They might be a little bit rushed, like it's a short amount of time before we need to get out the door. But even so, I have this intention that this is a very precious time. This is a time that I infuse my child with the energy that's going to set the tone for the day. This is the time where I connect with them. This is the time where I remember that our days are numbered, that every day is a gift, that tomorrow is not promised, and that I need to live this day as though it was my last, because it might be. I have seen so much premature and tragic loss in my life of people who thought they're going to have their whole lives ahead of them, young people whose lives were cut short abruptly and sometimes brutally. And of all the awful things that holds within it, it does have also a gift or a lesson to us all. And the lesson is that none of us know what might happen later in the day. None of us know what tomorrow brings. None of us know if we're not going to, God forbid, get hit by a truck this afternoon. And I know that the way I send my child out into the day is going to be echoing in their minds. Sometimes it's happened to me that I've sent them off in irritation, like, okay, just go now, right? Or some kind of argument that we had or friction. And I felt that heaviness, that's how my child has started the day. That's how they're going through the day, that they didn't get that boost from me, that love from me. And that I didn't kind of end with a beautiful closure that's, a good way of parting. I know it's just parting to school, and hopefully there'll be many hundreds more days like this and thousands more days together on the planet. But it's still a parting. And there's something about goodbyes that are sacred, in my opinion, that are precious, that are meaningful. They set a particular tone, especially at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, right? It's just like in stories, the most important part is how the story begins and how the story ends. What happens in the middle of the day, okay, we can get through that. But the bookends of the day are really what frame it, what encase it, what envelope it in this meaning that is somehow bestowed. And I happen to believe that family life is the most meaningful thing we have in our lives. That the connections that we have with the people that we love, that the culture that we build and grow in our own homes, this is the biggest and most meaningful project we'll ever embark on. This is our legacy. This is really where we experience the deepest emotions, the most profound sense of purpose. This is something that we want to do with as much intention as possible, but it's the easiest place to be frustrated and irritated and hustled and rushed. And so here's this last thing. I want you to take just one moment to set the tone for the day, to connect and to infuse your child with the energy that you wish for them. I want you to connect to your vision for your family. This is something I teach inside of the High Fam Studio, is crafting that clear vision of why are we here? What are we doing together? What's the purpose of this? There is a purpose. You did come together for a reason, and your family life is meaningful. And how you send your child off for the day, that has tremendous meaning to them. And it's not just for that day, because there's an accumulative effect, right? There's a compound effect. When it's day after day after day of sending them off with love, with connection, with care, that chain of events comes together to create a beautiful and impactful and lasting sense of connection and belonging within your child. They know where they come from. They know how they leave the house each morning. That matters. They know what you wish for them, what you want them to know, right? It's kind of like families who say, I love you, when they finish every conversation. It creates this cadence of meaning and connection that is profound and that is not waiting for tragedy to strike in order to seize that and make good on that promise of a meaningful family life. Okay, so I hope all of this has been useful, from the more practical tips and tricks all the way through to the deeper mindsets and why it matters. But make sure that you come together as a family just for something, whether it's a hug or a high five or a snuggle or a setting intentions for the day or a quick gratitude or just a quick high five and fist pump. It's enough to make sure that you are starting your morning in a beautiful way. I hope that all of these have been helpful for you. Let me know which was the most helpful below, and let me know what you'd like to hear from me. Give me your questions. I will try to incorporate that into our content. Keep on living that high fam life. Much, much love, and I'll see you in the next video.